Hey fam, this is Truess, and I have to submit a quick disclaimer before we get into the video today. Okay, so I have boobs. Yeah, I like my boobs, and there's a lot of cleavage in this video. Don't be alarmed; they won't hurt you. And kind of in the middle, maybe there's a very creative microphone placement. I can't help if I come with my own mic stand. But anyway, enjoy the video. Hopefully, it won't distract you too much. Drop a comment, be like, I couldn't focus, or I heard you saying, I just, by the end of the video, I didn't even notice them. But anyway, enjoy. I appreciate you. And
Hey
let's get
there,
into
this
it.
is Truess, and welcome again to Proves Need Not Apply. It's been crazy in the world lately, right? So it's not just me, it's all of us. We're noticing this. I was so happy to record my last session, which was basically talking about how you can create in this climate a space where you can pause, breathe, and then create strategy of how you're going to take care of yourself during this time. Since then, we've had, it feels like a more breakdown of the American democracy and the influx of white nationalism or far right conservative groups outwardly hating on us for no reason. And when I say us, it's not just Black people, it's especially Black people. But we're talking about trans community, we're talking about other white people who are just more left leaning or common sense leaning, hopefully. So it's been crazy. There's been an uprise in this rhetoric surrounding Charlie Kirk, who was the CEO of Turning Point USA, who was full of hate speech, and it was intended to be harmful to many um, communities who did not look like him and did not believe like he did. And they push this Christianity thing because they want people to believe that, you know, what they believe in is backed by some sort of Christian morals. But if you are a Christian or follow the teachings of Jesus Christ, which is a Christian supposed to be, you would see the distinction between what they say and what they believe and how they move versus those who actually follow the love, kindness, compassion, empathy that Jesus carried. So, anyway, this is not about religion. And this is also not about Turning Point. But since then, he was shot and killed. And that sent, conservatives into this uproar of um, blame. They were blaming liberals, they were blaming Black people, they were blaming trans, and all of us are on this side like, what we got to do with this? So it's been a crazy climate since then. I think he was killed on September 10th, and it is now September 22nd, and it's just nuts. So anyway, as I've said in the past, this is not a political show. So I'm not getting into what I think about Trump, even though you all will get tidbits as I go. Um, I'm not even commenting on Turning Point. I'm not commenting on Erica Kirk, who is now the new CEO of Turning Point and primed to be the voice that was probably always the voice, but Kirk was the front man. Charles was the front man, but we won't talk about that either. Um, this time I want to talk about trusting yourself, trusting yourself. And how we sometimes are based on decisions we've made in the past. We not only have doubt in our ability to make decisions for ourselves, we stop trusting the decisions we make because maybe what you decided for yourself at one point led you down a road that ended in a space you didn't want to be in or something that was a little disappointing, and that felt like failure. And then you start to begin to think that maybe every decision you make will lead you down that same pathway. So how do we begin to trust ourselves enough to really believe that we can make decisions that are good for us. And what does that have to do with everything I said earlier? Absolutely nothing. Well, no, not really, because if people are believing what other people are saying and it's going against your better judgment or your gut feeling or what you believe to be true, you have to trust that you can make a decision for yourself. Forgive me, I'm sitting outside. You can make a decision for yourself and that be the best decision for you. One problem we have in this country, again, I'm not political, but anyway, one thing I found in this country is that if certain people say things, if you don't trust yourself, you're just going to follow. You're just going to follow and say, well, they seem to know what they're talking. They seem to be knowledgeable. I think they're smart. And the problem is you have a lot of people who don't think that they're smart. So they're going to trust what other people say and what other people do. And that is a dangerous thing. So when do you start to trust yourself? Only you know what's inside of you. Only you know what you think. Only you know um, what you've gone through. Only you know your own experiences. So shifting your mindset to create a thinking process that actually benefits you, that is the beginning of understanding that you can do more than simply hear what others say and follow their lead, right? So, some of the things that I have encountered over the past few years, I'll tell you a little bit about why trusting yourself is important, but then I'll share my own stories and how I went from really having faith and believing in myself and trusting that God had my back. And I still do, by the way. I still have faith. But I think it shifted from that to an experience or something where I made a decision and thought I was making the right decision, and it just didn't turn out the way I thought it would. From that decision and from that experience came other experiences that led me in another direction, farther from where I really wanted to go. And because I ended up getting farther and farther away from my goal or my objective, I started saying, okay, maybe I'm not choosing the best for myself. Maybe I don't know what's best for me. It's easy when you start believing that about yourself to get caught up in saying things like, I just wish I had somebody to tell me exactly what to do. Be careful about those words because you can manifest that. After a while, you start trusting other people to say, well, you should do this and you should do that. And then you just think, okay, I'm going to do what they tell me to do. That's an easy way to get caught up in a cycle of control by other people. Now, what do you do when you feel like there is doubt in your decisions? A lot of people want things to be perfect. A lot of people want a formula. A lot of people want they want to connect dots that lead exactly to their objective. And everything, life is just not a linear experience. So I know for me, I was on a path where I've always been a I've always been a person who was just trying to figure it out. Like even as a young kid, I didn't have that direction or those mentors to say, what do you want to do? Well, here's a good objective, here's a good formula for you to, try. And I was always just figuring it out. So for me, I understand why some decisions are hits or misses because I feel like my entire life has been this experiment of figuring it out, figuring it out and maybe missing the mark. And you have to be very mindful about those things. And it is not okay. I took a quick pause so that I could reposition my microphone. Okay, first of all, we're adults, so don't worry about where it is. I have my own mic stand built in. Anyway, so for me, Finding my pathway has always been challenging because I've always wanted someone to say, I wanted someone to look at me or look inside and of me and say, this is what I see. And I have the perfect plan for you. And I go, okay, tell me. And then they say, take this step. And then if you go to this step, you'll definitely be this. If you go to the next step, you'll definitely be this. And I'm like, okay, I can do this. But there was no one there to do that. Even if you are a person of faith and you pray and you trust God, there's still a mystery around what your steps are. And a lot of people say, well, your steps are ordered by God and just trust them. Easier said than done. Because if you take a step that feels like it's unsettling or that you're off balance and it's not heading in a direction, and you want to say, I trust God to take me there, but you still feel an uncertainty, it's hard to believe that you're on the right track. Um, but a lot of people of faith will be like, even if it doesn't feel that way, I'm still going to stay this course. Well, a lot of people who may not have been so rooted in faith still started with that perception of it's uncomfortable, but this is where growth happens. And then they go and they continue along the path, but then they get to a brick wall, dead end, or somewhere where they can't really maneuver turning around. And it's like, how do you go forward? I have to back out. And if I back out, there's no, you know, guarantee that I can see what's behind me before I'm able to turn around and make it right. So you end up in these spaces, these blind spots, right? So what happened for me is I'm still there. I'm still in a space where I don't have the formula. I have what I feel, um, I have what I feel is a general idea of where I'm going. The blueprint, I have all of I'm someone that works in the entrepreneurial space. So I'm looking at like business canvases and um, tools that help me figure out what my business value is, who I'm marketing to, what my business propositions are, what resources do I have. So I look at things through kind of a structured business viewpoint. There's a lot of people who don't have that. And I think that um, for me, I'm able to recalibrate ever so often. Like I'll start on a path, and if I feel like it's not giving me what I need or what I desire or what I want, even if it is for my good, I kind of reassess and say, okay, what am I risking by walking away from this plan right now? What do I risk if I stay on this path? So sometimes you have to weigh the risk of your decisions versus just letting other people tell you which direction to go. And even if someone else tells you what to do, and again, some of us are asking for that. Even if someone tells you what to do, you can still assess if it's in alignment with your desires and your needs. Don't just blindly follow anyone and don't just believe anything anyone says. Find out for yourself. Do research. Find out if um, Find out if restructuring your thinking pathway is the best idea for you because a lot of people don't self assess. And I'll tell you something about the thinking pathway. This is a tool that I learned through Corinthus, which is a company that is teaching, that focuses on coaching. I'm an executive coach, so it focuses on coaching and different tools to help coaches um, maximize their skill sets as well as the tools that will help their clients thrive. So and they also focus on like team coaching and things like that. But there's a model called the thinking path. And the thinking path really shows you how you get from the inception of your thought to the fulfilled goal or objective. And what happens is there are different steps. in this thinking pathway, and it shows us how we initially come up with this idea or thought or understanding of something, and then we start to analyze it in the next steps. It's like inception, analyze, and then analyze takes us to what we're feeling about it, and what we're feeling about takes us to the action. What we do with this takes us to the end result. And I find that for myself, I get stuck in that process. And what happens when you get stuck in that process, you get the inception. Okay, I have this thought, this idea, I have this desire. And then what happens is I start to analyze it. I start analyzing it, right? And then I get to the part where I start to feel. I could feel excited. I could feel scared. I could feel doubtful. I could feel unsure. I could feel all these things. So here's where a lot of us get stuck, and it turns into a cycle that prohibits us from moving forward. We get to that feeling phase, and we start to feel doubtful, scared. Fear is a big thing. A lot of people saying that fear is just in your mind. Maybe it is, but fear in your mind makes things happen in your reality, right? It makes things, other decisions, tangible. So don't discredit someone who says they're fearful. A lot of people may say, I'm afraid, or I feel stuck, and other people like, well, what you're afraid of? Just do it. If it were that easy, don't you think everybody would be fulfilling their dreams right now? But you can't move through fear. You can't. So what happens is people get stuck in that feeling, thinking, feeling, thinking. It's a cycle. They go into, I feel this, and they go back to the thinking of the plan. Okay, well, I wanted to do this. I want to do this. How do I feel about it? Well, I feel this way. And then they go back to, well, what can I change? Okay, well, I'm going to feel about that. Then I go back to the thing and say, well, I can do it this way. And it's like, well, I don't feel right about that way either. You see that cycle? So they never move past feeling. What happens is when we get to the feeling and the thinking, we have to look at what feelings and thoughts are not serving us to getting closer to our main objective. Our feeling of uh, not being equipped, not being prepared, not having everything that we need to get to our next stage, feeling doubt about our decision making capabilities and our not just trusting ourselves, but whether those around us will trust us. Am I a fraud? Imposter syndrome is a big thing when people get stuck. How can I prove that I am who I am or want to be when, people might not, maybe I'm just a fraud. Maybe people can see me better than I can and they'll think that I'm not capable. Okay. So when you're asking yourself those questions or you're declaring these, and that's another thing, when you start making declarations about who you are or who you're not, those things start to hold weight. They're holding weight. So be careful about what you speak about yourself, because if you speak it and you're believing it, then you're putting into the atmosphere and you're showing up that way. And into the atmosphere goes that you are this person. So anyone who engages with you, you may have some people that say, well, I don't see that. But then you have other people say, well, when people tell you who they are. So that's kind of what happens. But what I like to say is see if those thoughts, ask yourself questions. There is nothing wrong with asking yourself questions. There's nothing wrong with asking yourself questions like, why am I thinking this? Why do I feel this way? What will lead me to feel this way? Where did I first start feeling this way? You know, um, what is this thinking like this doing for me right now? I'm stuck. Why am I stuck? Because I can't get past this thought. What is the thought? Why can't you get past it? What do you believe about yourself that's keeping you there? What is your evidence that what you're thinking is actually true about you? Who told you that that was evidence? Who told you that that was true? You start asking them and drilling down in these questions and partnering up with someone who can give you positive reinforcement and actually challenge you to be accountable. Things start to shift. So instead of getting stuck in that feeling phase, I just feel terrible. You start to trust what you know and what you know to be true, not what you feel to be true. Make no mistakes, feelings are important. I am a very emotional and extra sensitive, highly sensitive person. So I understand emotion and sensitivity. However, I also have begun over the last decade or so to trust what I know to be true versus what I feel to be true. Because emotions are transient sometimes. They are this today and then they're that tomorrow. Right? So allow yourself the time to really assess if what you're feeling is based on something that is actually going to uh, move you in the right direction. If it isn't, then you reassess that thing. I feel scared. I don't want to move forward because I'm scared. Okay, so if you know you can't move forward with this fear, what is it about this fear that is holding you hostage? Ask yourself those questions. Ask yourself the risk question. What are you going to risk by standing still that you'll never grow? What do you risk by moving forward? You may fail terribly, but you will learn what to do better. So the next time, and there will be a next time, you can get up and actually move forward. Keep trying, keep going, keep learning, keep growing. But if you stand still because of fear, you'll never know what you can do. So I think assessing your thinking, and once you are able to act, move out of that feeling phase into acting, creating action. Even in the Bible, it says faith without works is dead. Okay, so your feeling without movement will not get you anywhere. So once you start to move, and it's always tough when you're doing new things that scare you. But have you done something new that scared the hell out of you? And now you can look back over 5, 10, 15, 20 years and say, remember, I was so scared, but it's second nature to you now. You do it like it's breathing. You know, I always look forward when I have a challenge. And what I say to myself is, I have come this far because I've pushed past fear in uncomfortable spaces before this. And I realize that now I can do the same thing. You're here because you made it through the tough stuff before this. Trust that you can continue to do that. So once you get to the point of actually creating action around what you want to do, those actions will lead to the final objective of completion. I wanted to do this. I thought about it. I created a plan. I assessed how I felt about it. I just took those feelings and turned them into action. And those actions actually are what's going to help me fulfill that goal, that objective, that desire, right? So there are three things I want to say about trusting yourself and the things that you can do to help. Do this thinking path exercise that can help you kind of learn to trust yourself. Find a partner. Find someone who will partner with you as an accountability partner or just a coach or someone that can ask you some questions that can challenge you to think more broadly or even drill down certain things that you need to really answer your questions. And three, examine the evidence that proves that you are or are not who you think you are. If you say that I am this, what is your proof? I'm a failure. What's your proof? I have not done or made it through my initial objectives. Okay, why does that make you a failure versus someone who is in progress of getting there? If you decide to stop, then that is the cap you've put on yourself that creates that sense of failure. But if you are continuing to work and move and thrive and and assess where you are and do the work, then you haven't failed. You're still in progress. Trust the process. You hear that a lot, and it feels like really um, trendy. Trust the process, but you have to trust in yourself that the process that is created to get from A to Z is not always linear, but it doesn't mean that it won't get you there. So, and I'm gonna pause real sec for a sec. Why is it that you can be outside or wherever and it's quiet as a mouse? As soon as you start recording, everybody's like, "She's recording, go, go, go," and I'm like, you know what, mother. But anyway, so trust yourself, and in creating a plan that's going to allow you to analyze um, if your thinking path is serving you, pause. Don't rush through anything. If you are assessing a situation or your plan or creating plan and doubt starts to come up, start assessing, is that current thought that you're thinking, is it serving you? How is that going to serve me? How is me thinking that I'm not credible or that I am not experienced enough? How is that serving me? Some may say it's serving me because it's protecting you from going into spaces that may crush you, emotionally, professionally, or whatever. That's not serving me. Avoiding the situations won't serve me. Um, but I ask myself all the time, what is this going to do for me? What is this doubt going to do for me? What is this fear going to do for me? Assess them, you know? So um, it's not easy. It's not easy getting unstuck. It is not easy once you have spent time doubting yourself to all of a sudden trust yourself. Start small. Start small. I know that story time. I know that for me, there have been a lot of situations where I've just been kind of isolated. I'm actually kind of isolated right now, to be truthful, but I've been isolated and I tell myself, I really want to engage with the world. I want to, you know, really socialize a little more, get, meet new people. And I may say that I'm too isolated to do that. And others outside of me may say, why are you too isolated to do that? What's keeping you from actually socializing? And I can create excuses, but none of those excuses are going to get me to what I really want. So then I start to ask myself, well, why can't I do that? Or why must I think that way? So I start to shift my thinking and move these feelings into action. So um, I am very isolated right now in Georgia. And what I'm a DC girl. I'm a born in Southeast, worked all over DC, lived in Northeast before I left. So I'm used to being outside and in a building with hundreds of people and, commuting back and forth to work. So I'm around people. My friends were there, so I can just call them and be like, I can be around people. And if I don't want to be around people, that was fine too. Here, I'm just not around people. That's it. Like I'm not in a city. So um the feeling of isolation and fear is still there. So what can I do to get out of this? Start small. Talk to your neighbors. I have like two sets of neighbors on either side of me. And just engaging. Hi, how you doing? Oh, I see you growing your garden. Tell me what you're growing. Oh wow, what's coming in for next year? Oh, you got some chickens? Oh, tell me what's their names? Um, little stuff. Then you start to feel like, okay, I'm getting confidence. And then you volunteer somewhere. You're engaging with the world, other people. It may not be a lot of people, but it's other than you and the dog. So, you know, start to trust that you'll get to your ultimate goal. of engaging, promoting your business, all of that stuff. But right now, I just need to feel a part of the world. So trusting yourself is very important. And I want you all to just assess how important is your ultimate goal versus holding on to the thoughts that are not serving you. When you have established for yourself that you have goals, you can create a strategy to meet those goals. You can use, there are so many different modalities out there. I'm not really into all of the AI stuff right now. I know it's important. I know people are using it. I know it's growing, and I don't know if it's going to really benefit us the way people think it will in the long run. But there are tools that you can use. And I just started using like Chat GPT a couple of weeks ago, only because I was like, let me see some. I've never used it. Let me see something. And I used it and I was like, ugh, fine, it's okay. But I am very mindful of how I use it and how often I use it. Um, so there are many tools out here where you can actually, even if you just Google tools to help get unstuck or coaching techniques to help um, create strategy for personal growth, you can create structure, strategy around how you want to get to your, your goals. What happens is a lot of people say, I want to do this, and they're fighting themselves trying to get there, not knowing what to do when they have never even stopped to figure out, how do I strategize getting from A to Z, and prepare for the unexpected things. You may not know what's coming, but you give yourself space so that when the unexpected happens, you can actually say, oh, this isn't throwing me so far off of my plan, but it is allowing me, the time to really um, recalibrate things, right? So I am also design design thinking consultant. So I also take the minds the the thinking pathway modality and marry it with the design thinking. So it could be you, some trusted friends getting together and say, okay, this is where I am in my life right now. This is where I am. And I usually use the what if, what is, what if, what wows, what works model. Okay. And what is like, where are we right now? Where where are we right now? This is where I am. And you ask yourself the question, what is it that you want to accomplish? And what do I need to get there? What do I need to make this thing a truth for me? And after you put that down and you're talking about what's happening, you may ask yourself, what are my resources right now? You may ask yourself, what am I, why am I asking myself these questions? Cool. Then go to part two. What if? What if it's the part where you can just think outside the box? If you had no barriers, if you had nothing stopping you. So in the what if phase, you say, if there was nothing to stop me, I had all the money in the world, I had all the creativity, I had all the resources, I had all the people. What is it what do I want to accomplish? How would I do it if I had no barriers? Then you bring yourself to creating options. Option one, option two, option three. These are the three big things I want to do. Then you go into what wows. You look at your options and say, oh, wow, well, these are amazing. These are amazing objectives. Then you start to ask yourself questions like, what's feasible among these? What about these options can I actually do right now? And you start to go into, you move from what wows to what works. What's something I can do right now successfully? And you pick that thing. And from there, You build strategies around getting to those things. What is, what if, what wows, what works. So when someone comes to me and they're feeling stuck and they're feeling like they don't have a straight pathway forward, tell them that enjoy the curves and the dips and valleys that come. They may not always feel good, but you learn a lot from them. And then I create the strategies um, template around, what is, what wows, what is, what if, what wows, what works. And most of the people I work with find value in that because they can actually plan and they can actually create a game plan and objectives and a process through the strategies they create from a session with me. You can have doubt. In the what if, it's okay. Doubt doesn't mean that it's true. Doubt doesn't mean that it has to stop you. Doubt just means that you are able to assess that there may be some risk, you know? So, folks, I'm going to wrap up because I think we've talked about a lot today. I think we've talked about a lot. And I think that I appreciate you. I don't just think it. I know it. Yeah, I know. I do. I really do. But anyway, so when I come back, there are some other topics that I really want to talk about. And just to give you a preview, I am going to, I think maybe not my next show, but the one after. We're going to be talking about being a professional people pleaser. Y'all know about that, right? When you say yes to everybody, but neglect yourself in the process. Yeah, we have to stop that foolishness too. So we are going to talk about so many other things, okay? And I want you all to know that I'm here for you. I'm here for you. I'm here for you because I know that you can be the best you there. And my company, Embracing You Executive Coaching, is just about that, embracing the very truth of who you are, who you can be, who you want to be, embracing that and making moves around that. So, as I wrap up today on this day of our Lord, September 22nd. Oh, real quick, did y'all know? I'm gonna come back like weeks later and see if this video is still here because I don't know. According to people, the rapture is supposed to be tomorrow. Now, right now, we're doing Rapture Watch to see if there's a rolling rapture. Like there are parts of the world that are already in the 23rd of September, and we're like, y'all gone yet? Mind you, as a Christian or as someone who has practiced Christian, been baptized and learned and studied, and at one point was going to go to seminary, um, we're curious. Apparently, no man is supposed to know the day or the hour, but these people are like September 23rd. And we're like, what? Do you know how many rapture days we were supposed to had since I've been born? Was born in a year. Um, and we have yet to see the rapture. So anyway, will it happen? I'll just see y'all here next week. If y'all get caught up and haven't got Wi-Fi, make sure y'all write my YouTube name down. Bruce need not apply. And I want y'all to get the next video too. Will it matter? Probably not. But you love me. So go ahead and hit that like, subscribe button. Make a comment. What topics do you think I should talk about in relationship to communication, and coaching? And it could be something that you're dealing with personally. I get a lot of hits with people are like, I'm going through this. And when you're going through this, 9 times out of 10, a lot of other people are going through it too, or have experienced it. Um, What is it? Something that you may be an accountability partner for someone who's going through something. You may not tell us who they are and exactly what, but there is a kind of high level topic that you can drop in the comment section. Also follow me on Spotify because I do other episodes that are not recorded that you may there are actually some episodes, early episodes from around 2018, 2019 that were more focused on adult engagement that you may get a kick out of as well. So, with that, I'm going to say trust yourself more. Find little ways to trust yourself and assess where you really want to be in life. And I guarantee you, if you do the work, I'm sorry, I'm outside with mosquitoes. If you do the work, you'll find progress in getting to your objectives and getting to where you want to be. Things won't be easy all the time, but they don't have to stop and keep you in that cycle of questioning yourself and assessing your feelings and going back to questioning yourself and then the feelings and then the question. You got to move from your feelings to action and then to result. Okay. So this is True Essence. And I thank you for joining me today and all the cars going by, right? Cars outside, cars. So will we be doing this again outside? Probably not. All right, guys. Thank you so much. I appreciate you. Love you. And I can't wait to see you guys next time. Right?